PK80, sticking on the Spartan theme. Ups and downs for Michigan State. I've texted you on the side a theme for this Michigan State season that I plan to go in depth on the unscripted episode we're going to do at some point this week. But I've decided that this entire season for Michigan State is about finding the middle, Cart. And I don't think they've played a game yet where they have found the middle. I think every game is the opposite end of the spectrum, as intense emotions as you can have. They're either firing on all cylinders, clicking, playing out of their minds good, or the wheels are falling off. And that makes for a very up and down, topsy-turvy, just emotionally draining season. We're like 2 weeks into the season. And I don't know how this team and its fans aren't entirely emotionally depleted right now. They come out of the PK80 with 2 wins, which everybody would have said going in was the goal. I don't think anybody had playing Portland and getting a win as one of the goals there, but the bracket shook out the way it did. And to do that without Malik Hall and Jaden Akins is definitively, unquestionably impressive. That Michigan State was able to escape with 2 wins without those 2 guys. So how did this week shift your perception of this Michigan State basketball team?
I think for me, and you could say this is me being more thinking on the positive side. I saw this as an opportunity. Of course, we want to win basketball games, but I saw this as an opportunity for other guys to step up with Malik Hall out and Jaden Akins out. And all in all, I thought some guys really stepped up. I think Pierre Brooks had one of the best stretches of games as a Michigan State player that he's had. And I think he showed that he can be a guy who can have the ability to score off the bench. I believe he averaged somewhere around 15 points for this PK80 tournament and shot close to 50% from the 3-point line, including a 5 for 6 showing last night against Portland. Granted, it's against Portland, but still, I mean, the shooting, it's something we needed. On the other hand, though, I saw some things I didn't like. With Malik Hall and Jaden Akins being out, it gave the opportunity for guys to step up. And I thought there was some guys that rose to that challenge. And I thought there were some guys that looked ghostly during some halves of basketball. Mainly our point guard and AJ Hoggard. He looked like a player, especially speaking of last night's game, who frankly didn't want to be there. We brought up on a couple episodes ago that sometimes AJ can have a kind of front runner mentality, kind of. And I don't want to say front runner because I don't think it's reaching the front runner level, but it's more so the fact that his energy is way too dictated on if he's playing well or if things are going well. His energy and the way he plays is way too dictated on that. And like for last night, for example, because that's the most recent game. I actually missed the first half of the basketball game and I had to kind of watch the second half. And I'm just looking at the box score in the first half, and AJ has 0 shots. 0 shots attempted. And no fouls, no, like nothing. The box score is just zeros and like 1 assist, 1 rebound. And we're down 10.5 to Portland. And he's playing minutes. And then I go back and I watched the first half of the game last night, and the body language was absolutely terrible. Just just completely defeated. It looked like he wanted to be on the plane home. And that's an issue too. Like that, we can't just gloss over that. That's going to be an issue moving forward, I think, that we're going to have to deal with. Like AJ Hoggard might be the point guard of this team, but he's not the leader of this team. To me, Tyson Walker is the leader of this team. And it's actually been nice to see Tyson kind of take more of a vocal leadership role this year, which is also following up with his play, which I think has improved a lot. So, I mean, I guess you hit it on the head with kind of a roller coaster of emotions of what this PK tournament was. But at the end of the day, we got out of here with some wins and we didn't have 2 of our better players. So I guess we'll call it a win.
Yeah, you take that every time. I think you could go down up and down the roster and give guys letter grades essentially for how did this week go. And, I like even in the loss to Alabama, there was a lot of shade thrown Joey Hauser's way. And I want people to just stop with Joey. I beg people to just stop. Joey Hauser is who he is. That's going to result in 1 out of every 3 games. He has a dud in the stat sheet. You have to live with that. Not every elite sharpshooter goes for 20 every single game. Like
Yeah, and also he's out there just giving it. He's on one
on
ankle,
a
just
bum ankle, on a
yeah,
bum
just
ankle. This dude's now we have such a large sample size of this dude being such a ridiculously efficient, good, productive player. Like all of last season into this season, this year, he's shooting 47% from three, Cart, 47 from the field, 47 from three, 84 from free throw, chipping in 6.5 rebounds a game, playing on a bum ankle. Second leading scorer on the team. And when he just like doesn't shoot well in a game, everybody wants to attack the man and throw daggers his way. I don't get it. You have to accept, like I've said before, he can be very good. He is very good, but he's gonna have quiet games, 1 out of every 3. That is who Joey Hauser is. The 2 that he is there for, he might score 20. He's gonna score 15 to 20 in rebound. Like he's a good player. Stop. Like you're not going to win or lose because of what Joey Hauser does more often than not. Maybe one night he goes nuclear, but he's there. You can count on him. Tyson is a swing guy right now. I think he's been awesome. Reminds me a lot of Travis Trice's breakout year as a senior, where, you thought you just had like a quality starter, someone you wouldn't really get too excited about. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, we got one of the top players in the conference. Like that's a closer right there.
yeah.
And I think he can be the best player on this team and have the team go very far. Where AJ fits in confuses me, and I think it confuses AJ. What I will say is that problem where you look at the stat sheet and realize, oh, AJ hasn't even attempted a shot. That happens every time Michigan State plays a game against a cupcake. It happened in the Grand Valley exhibition. It happened for us at Moneyball. Remember, they're literally playing like the most depleted, talent-less Moneyball team there was, and AJ was just complaining the whole time and didn't want to be there. And I think this is who this guy is. I think he's a bright lights guy. I think he wants to, be the star of the show and turn it on and talk the shit when he plays Gonzaga on the boat or when he plays Kentucky in Indy. Right. But can you do that every game? Like when you show up to play Northwestern, are you going to show up? And right now he's not. Credit to him for doing it in the second half. But I keep coming back to my Curbelo thing because I think it's spot on. Like all offseason, this guy was gassed up like he has the keys to the program. This is AJ Hoggard's team. He heard that from his fans, his coach, his teammates. Everybody said it was AJ Hoggard's team. It's not AJ Hoggard's team. Definitively. This team is not AJ Hoggard's team. It's not going to be his team. The best version of this team is Tyson Walker's team. And I don't know how you handle that mentally if you're AJ Hoggard, because we've already talked about the type of guy he is mentally. Even if it was his team, you're going to have these ups and downs. So now that everyone knows it's not, how does he handle that? That's the thing that's going to define the season for me for Michigan State. And look, even if AJ becomes a guy who's essentially giving you nothing, which I don't think is ever going to happen, I think he's too good. But if that happened, this Michigan State team is good enough to win without him. If they get Jaden Akins healthy. But that's where the Curbelo comp comes for me, because we saw phases of Illinois last year go from this is Curbelo's team to no, it's not, but he's still important to, oh, we don't need him at all. And we've seen that path happen with this exact situation with a talented guy who's inconsistent, who you can't trust mentally. I don't know. The difference is this Michigan State team doesn't have a Kofi Coburn. And I think Tyson Walker applies pretty evenly to like the Trent Frazier role in all of this. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting to me because I don't know. I could see him being phased out more than he has been so far, Cart.
Yeah, and I think I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. The ceiling of this team might depend on if AJ is willing to accept that he's not that guy. And that's like not and when I say that, it sounds bad. Like I'm not saying like you got to be like a bad player. We got to like cut your minutes or like anything such as that. Like I think despite everything we said right now, as far as who I want starting on this team, like I still want AJ starting. I still want Tyson starting. But I don't necessarily need AJ to score. And I don't know if AJ is okay with that. And that could be an issue. And I don't want to be repetitive because I said it on the last episode, fork in the road. You got two paths to choose. You got kind of the Curbelo path, and you got the path of, I'm just accepting that this team doesn't need me to be the leading scorer. This team doesn't need me to be a guy who's just jacking up attempts. All we need is a guy that can get to the rim when he has a good matchup and makes his free throws and put guys in the best position to score the basketball. And last night, in particular, in that Portland game, I thought he didn't want to be there, and he was frustrated because he wasn't getting shots up, and he wasn't being the guy he wasn't being that guy. And it's an issue and something definitely to monitor moving forward. And I'd also, let's say that he does just go completely full Curbelo mode. Like what's the move for Izzo there?
I mean, maybe one thing Hoggard got right is that this backcourt has a lot of bodies. Like, I wouldn't phrase it the way he did in the offseason when he said we're the best, but it's a damn good one. And I think it's a damn good one that could survive AJ Hoggard in a much smaller role if Jaden Akins is healthy and playing well. But we also haven't seen Akins play well yet. Like, to be honest, like he's looked like he's just been hurt. And
of course, right when he starts to get into somewhat of a rhythm during that Villanova game, right again.
Right.
Hurt.
So like we have to see Jaden Akins stay healthy, knock on wood, in order to even like propose AJ's role getting smaller, because if you're only playing 7 guys, where's AJ going to go? But I think the problem for me is we can talk about, like, is he willing to accept a smaller role? What does that look like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't necessarily think it's a mental thing where like AJ Hoggard would say, I'm the best player, I deserve more, I don't accept this. I don't necessarily get those vibes. What I do get is just like AJ's game itself, the way he plays basketball. He has to be the guy doing everything. Otherwise, he's not nearly as effective on the court. And I think that's where my comp to Curbelo comes full circle, is like that's how Curbelo played. You can see him at St. John's now. You can see him on the film at Illinois, even when he was the guy off the bench behind Ayo Dosunmu. Like, if Curbelo was on the floor, Curbelo's talents were best utilized when he has the ball every single time. That applies to AJ Hoggard too. Like, AJ can't really be a guy who's just the 5th option standing off to the side watching Tyson Walker do stuff. It would make more sense to have a guy who can just catch and shoot in that role. And AJ's shot looks better. He's still, I think, around 30% from 3 on the season. He's shooting in the 30s from the floor. And like, even we can give him credit in the second half in this game. Like, okay, AJ showed up. Yeah, he showed up and just played his bully ball and got to the rim and scored a little bit. And he had again, he was assisting. He's still assist rate through the roof. I think he's top 3 in the country in assist rate. But to me, that comes back to, like, if you're gonna have AJ Hoggard on the floor 30 minutes a game, he really makes the most sense being the guy who does everything. And I don't think that's ever gonna really square itself with Tyson. Like, because Tyson at this point has earned, Tyson's getting the ball. If this is a close game, we're going through Tyson every possession. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's like a thing AJ needs to accept mentally. I don't even think it is mentally. I think it's more just about, like, that doesn't really work with AJ's game. And by the time Akins is back healthy, like, to me, if we know we're playing through Tyson, it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I think you already saw this, right? In the Gonzaga game and in the Champions Classic a little bit. Like, AJ was on the bench in favor of having 4 guys who could shoot, or 3 guys who could shoot, and Mady Sissoko around Tyson Walker. So I don't know. I think the shift has already happened officially. And instead of speculating, I'm ready to say this. Like, I think this is going down the path for AJ Hoggard of, by the end of the year, he might find himself on the bench in a 6th man type role, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to go to the whole 6-man thing, just because, he is a guy who's a floor setter, a table setter. As far as, how he can get guys kind of open with his passing. Of course, the shooting deficiencies are still there. I still think he's struggling at the rim if he's not guarded by someone who's smaller than him. So hopefully that's something he figures out, but he doesn't really seem to have more of an in-between or floater type game. He's just a guy who tries to play bully ball.
But he doesn't. He's a guy who tries to play bully ball against the bullies. He doesn't want to play bully ball against the guys he can bully. Like that's a between the ears thing, right? Like the games that should be most effective for AJ Hoggard are the games that he doesn't even attempt shots in the first half for.
You said the games he should be most effective.
Yeah.
How so?
Right. Like if we're saying bully ball's his game, right?
Yeah.
Then the games against Grand Valley and
Oh yeah. Yes.
Portland are the
Yes.
games that he should come out killing. And instead, those are the games where he's not there at all. And
Yeah.
that's like he wants to come out and bully Nolan Hickman and Severe Wheeler, but he doesn't want to come out and bully Portland guards. Like
it's like this running joke I actually had with Zach Hirth, who's a avid listener, a friend of ours, avid listener of this podcast. It's like sometimes it's hard to get this, and we're talking about men's league basketball. I don't know why this always comes up on this damn podcast, but it is what it is. Like sometimes when you're playing like that really bad team and it's like 10 and the game's at 10 on a Tuesday and you don't want to be there and you don't want to get up for it because you don't care. Like that's kind of happening with AJ. Like I feel like he's just like, Portland one last game. Like, I didn't want to play Portland. I wanted to be playing Caleb Love in them in the championship game. I wanted to be playing UConn in the championship game. Then I would have really tried to take over. But Portland, I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we might need like a PhD in like basketball therapy because I feel like we've played therapist on Hunter Dickinson last year to a T, and now we're doing it with AJ Hoggard. Like we always have a subject, and more often than not, we've been a little right when we speculate that something's not right. We can kind of smell it at Moneyball Cart. Like we walked out of Moneyball with some questions. And 3 weeks into a very good season for Michigan State, those questions are coming true.
Nah, we're idiots.
Let's move on.